Well, hello, my lovelies. This one is probably going to trigger a lot of spiritual gurus out there, but to be honest, I don't know why you'd be on my channel if you had everything figured out. Just kidding. Sorry, I think that was my ego talking. But seriously, welcome to the channel. If you are new here, I am holding these cards for a glorious reason. We do energy readings to basically confirm the topic of what we're going to be talking about. So this is, if you want to skip ahead, if you don't really feel called to do the reading, it's about like 2 or 3 minutes, but I really encourage you to stick around because there's some information in these cards, and this will give you a really great idea of intuition and just what it really creates for you. But anyway, so to get us started, the Magician, this is your source. This is your source of all spiritual ego. Now, I'm going to get further into details, but I want to kind of save that for the rest of the video. But your Magician, the Magician card is basically you and your energetic connection to the universe. It is what makes things happen. It manifests things energetically, subconsciously and consciously, but overall, it's really just your connection to the spirit realm and just being able to manifest what is meant for you. See how he's kind of just, he's got this infinite like light beam, and he's golden, and it's beaming out into the universe. He is the universe. He is everything. So with that following, we have blended pleasure. Your ego is what brings you to blended pleasure because we have needs. We have needs to fulfill. Like, I'm sorry, but maybe rubbing one out is not bad for you, okay? And maybe this, I hope you guys know that this is not a channel for kids. But seriously, like, there are some very important things that happen with just taking care of yourself and also allowing yourself to feed your shadow, because we have the light and we have the dark. Both of these are very important in order to have balance. See how these cups are basically, it's like there's this flower coming from this hand, he's pouring into each of these cups, and it is just pouring perfectly into the cups. This is very important in life. You have to take care of yourself, and sometimes we do some things to have fun, and there's nothing wrong with it. Some people will lie to you and tell you that there is, but there's an equal balance with, you know, well, there's a big difference between, I guess, overfeeding your shadow and just having regular balance, because there are things that we are available to do, and I don't know why they would be so, I mean, I don't know, maybe that's a far reach, but there are things that are available for us to do, and there's nothing really wrong with them. They may be unorthodox for a lot of people, but then that goes right back to perception. So the last card that we got here is the Ace of Shadows, your main defender. Your main contender and your main defender. That is your ego. Your ego protects you from the outside world. I don't know if anybody has ever told you this, but we're really just a bunch of high schoolers and high school dropouts that just became adults and tried to figure out the world, even though there was like no handbook for it. So, yeah, don't listen to those fools because they're probably just feeding you some things that they want to sell you. So, to each their own. Everything is always going to be perception based, and that's why it is very important to talk about your ego, why it's important to feed your ego, and why your ego is not your enemy. And a lot of people, a lot of spiritual gurus will go out there in the world, and I'm really, I've seen this pretty often, and I've talked to people. I've been in arguments. Don't get me wrong. I try my best not to, but I've been in arguments with people about like why it's okay to have an ego. Like, they go through this ego death and they have all this spiritual enlightenment, and they believe that you should never ever have an ego. Like, we shouldn't be killing animals, and there's a lot of inhumanity or some unorthodox things that we do on an industrial level with animals, but I'm not really getting into that. But there's things about balance, and it's very keen to understand that we're all here on this speck of a planet trying to figure things out, and we all have our own perceptions of reality. We all go through our own experiences, because bringing all of this information together is how we make the world a better place, because there's nobody's going to be an expert. But yeah, that's not the topic. We're trying to get into ego But I want to reiterate that, nobody in life has everything figured out. And if somebody does tell you that, like I've said this before, they probably don't. You don't know what goes on behind the doors. Some people are into some kinky things. I've seen some stuff online. Um, sorry, never mind. But no, seriously, like we have needs. We have pleasure centers in our body. And sometimes we get bored and we want to just try some new things out and experience some things. And like jumping from an airplane with a parachute, some people would think that was bizarre and really insane. But some people think it's thrilling and exciting and it's very fulfilling for a lot of people. I really don't know why, but it is. And that's the big difference in the world between like really believing that you have everything figured out and then realizing that you have nothing figured out. That's going to, like, one, it's going to break that shell between you and your ego, and you're going to realize that you guys have been best friends all along. You just were not treating them right. So and there's also a really big difference between being a real narcissist and then just calling somebody a narcissist, because I found out that it's just a cop out thing that people will try to tell you, and really sometimes you're just fulfilling your own needs and putting yourself first, and sometimes you're prioritizing yourself, and that hurts other people's feelings, and that's okay because we're not here to be people pleasers. That is not the ego that you want. And now that I'm talking about that, let's go over the 7 states of ego. I have them pulled up here. So first we have the selfish ego. Yeah, I'm not gonna mess with her too much because she is my glorious babe, and I protect her at all costs, because being selfish doesn't mean you're self-centered. It means you prioritize yourself. Maybe that is perception based as well, like most things. But it goes right back. Like, I wouldn't be so selfish in protecting my own energy space, protecting my head space, if I wasn't taken advantage of so much in my youth. And I wouldn't be so overprotective of myself if I had not gone through the trauma that I had gone through. And now sometimes people will think that that's just a trauma response. No, sometimes I'm just taking care of myself because somebody might make me think that something's much more important and put this idea and vision in my head and gaslight me over it, and no. Okay? No. That is not how I'm gonna live. I have been put on this planet, I've been put on this earth for my own spiritual path, and I don't have anything to prove to anybody. I don't care how unique or special you feel you are to me. I love you, but I'm gonna love you separately. I'm gonna love you over here. If you're gonna prioritize yourself and you prioritize your own needs over me, I'm going to my selfish area. That's just how it is. You can see a lot of other like really intelligent spiritual gurus, spiritual leaders that are all on the same page with this one. And they have it figured out. Maybe they come off as assholes to you, but a lot of the time it's because they were really nice people at one point in time, but then they realized that they were people pleasing, and that was not benefiting them in any way, shape, or form. And we've wasted a lot of time trying to make other people happy. That is not what you want to do in life. You have limited time here on this planet. You have no idea how quick and easy it is to just have everything fall apart. Now, I'm not trying to be doomy and gloomy, but I'm just telling you, like, you have a limited time here on Earth. Do not make everyone else a priority. Make yourself the priority. There's a difference between being selfish and a cunt. I promise you. Now, next, the people pleaser. I talked about that one a few times. The people pleaser is the ego that, like, nobody is okay. And this one's going to be triggering. A trigger warning. I love you. But you are not here to people please. When you are a people pleaser, it's usually a trauma response. Okay, so it is. It is a trauma response. We are here people pleasing because we want to be accepted. And if we don't please other people, and if we're not helping and fixing other people, then they won't accept us. And that is our form of love. It's our only form of love. And usually it kind of backlashes, or we ourselves as people pleasers get upset with the person that we're trying to please because they didn't respond the way we expected them to. Listen to that. Really go back. I want you to rewind. Listen to that phrase. We were upset because things didn't go the way we expected them to go. The blasphemy, the craziness, that is so bizarre to me. And you know what though? I used to be a people pleaser. But then I found out the hard way that that didn't mean nothing in my relationships. It didn't make me happier. It made me much, much, much more unhappy. And it didn't make people love me more. It's separated myself from a lot of people because I grew these attachments to this idea of love where I was supposed to take care of other people and help them whenever I can. And now it is very nice. It is very great. And this is a big difference between helping people and being a people pleaser. So don't get the two mixed up, okay? It is fine. We need more people in the world that are helping other people. But that's not what I'm talking about, okay? I'm talking about real people pleasers. Look it up. There's much, much more information on what that type of personality really is. I don't really think it's a personality type. I really think it's just a trauma response, if you understand trauma responses, you can really grow out of them very quickly. If you really start understanding the characteristics, the personality, well, okay, so not personality. I really hate saying personality traits because that just kind of defines you. I don't know. Maybe that one's also perception based, but like it's really about understanding what characteristics, what triggers are, and then you can really break that down and grow out of that. Do the shadow work and you'll get out of that phase so fast. I promise you. It's a turnaround. Now the next one is the rebellious. The ego of rebellion. So I have everything figured out in society, but all of these other people, everyone else in the world doesn't. None of these people have anything figured out. I am rebelling because I got shit figured out. And these people are crazy. They don't have nothing figured out. Now that right there separates you from everyone. Sit with that one because that one might be a little bit harder to understand than the people pleasing one. But really, when you're separating yourself from society, you're not doing yourself a favor. You're isolating yourself, and sometimes it's great to be isolated. Sometimes it's great to have some self-care and go on a retreat and just kind of just do your own thing for a while. But that is not rebellion. There are characters out here that are just centered on themselves, and usually these are actual narcissists too. Not the only characteristic, but it is a big play in there. Is having everything figured out in the world and then everyone else is dumb. Everyone else is stupid. Nobody's got shit figured out but me. And yeah, so I'm just not going to listen to anybody. And I'm going to have this warped, thwarped ideal of the universe. And I'm going to live miserably doing that. It is not going to benefit you by being the rebellious ego. Okay? So, understand that one. Because that one's a little bit more difficult because society is strange. Don't get me wrong. But it's going to separate you from a lot of people and it's going to ruin friendships you probably already have. I don't know. You're probably not watching this video. But you're really going to separate yourself from regular people that may actually have some benefit towards you because we're here as a community. Like, let's be real, let's be cute, let's be fuzzy. Like, we're a community. Everyone learns from each other. We are reflections of each other. And when you go through karma, when you understand like situationships better, you realize that you're meeting these people who have mirrored effects of you. They have mirrored personality traits as you. And sometimes you want to kind of blame the other person for being the, I don't know, negative Nancy or the toxic person or whatever, but what was it that attracted to them in the first place? Why did you think that was such a healthy relationship when you were not happy or you were just you were not feeling them, but you kind of coerced and lied to yourself and told you that you did. Told yourself that you did so you would feel like you would settle. That one's another deep one. But yeah, like and I feel like the people pleaser and the rebellious are almost different. They're almost like mirrored states, because you can go through both. You really can. It really depends on who you are and what you experience. But you can go through both, and you can go through, really honestly, all of these if you're whew, really out there. But really, like, I feel like the rebellious and the people pleaser are very similar, because sometimes we go to the people pleaser ego, and then that doesn't work out for us, and so we grow resentment and then become the rebellious one. So that one, I don't know. I'm not an expert, but I really feel like they go hand in hand. But anyway, going on to master manipulator. The master manipulator has, like, everything figured out in their head, but they don't, but they do. And they're going to coerce and manipulate other people to get what they want. Now, whether they're doing that consciously, which I really, I don't know, I really do believe that they're doing this consciously. Sometimes, maybe some subconsciously. Maybe there's people out there who are just born into manipulation by their parents and just have no idea what they're doing, but are doing it anyway. But there are master manipulators who will gaslight you and make you feel like your reality is false and that you are the problem, you are the issue, and that you are the one doing all these nasty, evil things. In reality, they're the ones doing all the nasty, evil things. So, master manipulator, that one's a real narcissist. That, I honestly, there's different forms of narcissism. That one takes the cake, because they will turn everything around on you and make you feel like your reality is false. You are not worth anything. They will turn family and friends against you. They will turn you against other people, and just really, it's going to alter your reality. So just be careful with that one and try to avoid it. But the the critical ego. So over criticism, this goes right back into the rebellious one. I really do believe, but it's really being overcritical of the world and just believing that nobody, again, being really self-centered and thinking that nothing in the world is figured out besides you. Like, you have everything, or maybe you don't even feel that way. Maybe you don't even feel like you have everything in the world figured out, but you're just overcritical of everything, and so you're not happy with anything that happens to you. Like, something good will happen to you and you will have a form of resentment. Maybe you'll get like a quick little spark of dopamine, but in reality, as soon as that dopamine is shut off, you are just going right back into the criticism. You're going right back into the just, I have like no expression. You are just completely separated from society because you were just overcritical of everything and everyone around you, and so you won't be happy that way. That one, I feel like, is a little bit more self-explanatory than the other ones, but then we have this one. This one is going to be triggering, almost as triggering, if not more triggering, than the people pleaser. The enabler. The enabler will put so many toxic situations forward and will make things so give me 1 second. They will make things so difficult. Give me just a second. I want to drink some water and I will get right back. And just a quick little tidbit, if you want more information on this topic, please check out my website. I will have more of this information on my website as well as my Reddit, so you can go ahead and click the links down below. Definitely encourage you to do that if you want more information, you want to get more into detail with all of these topics, because there's so much to cover and I cannot cover it all in like a 25-minute video, and I'm trying to condense these things for y'all. So don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button too while you're at it. But if you really want to know, the enabler it's really just, I feel like it goes right back to the people pleaser. Like, the enabler will fix and help other people to make themselves feel better in life. This one's going to be a little bit harder to understand if you are the enabler, because it's going to trigger you and you're going to be like, well, I'm a nice person, I'm a good person, I'm just here to help the world, I just want to be placing myself in the world, being a part of it and being good. So, and I don't want anything in return, but secretly I do. secretly I want lots of things in return, and it's really just boosting my own ego so I feel like I'm actually doing something beneficial for other people, when in reality I'm just doing this for myself. Sit with that one. Because it's really, they genuinely believe that they're nurturing and helping other people. But really, I know this one's hard to understand. People have to go through things. They have to go through shit. Like if you're enabling somebody else's well, I guess not suffering. If you're trying to enable them, um, and take care of them and validate them and give them this safe space to be their self-expressive and just over amplifying their problems. That's really what you're doing. You're enabling more of their problems because you're basically saying that their toxic attitude is okay. It's okay with you, and I'm going to enable this further by giving you the tools and resources you need to be the toxic person that you are. Okay? And we're all guilty of this. Don't overanalyze yourself and be like, "Oh, well, I'm never going to change now and watch this white girl on YouTube and god, my world is falling apart." But no, seriously, like you can snap out of these things as soon as you start learning how to identify them. But okay, now that I've said all the negative things about ego and all the different traits and states of like toxic ego and just bad, bad characteristics, let's talk about the good things because we're also here to learn. We want to jump from the bad ego to the good ego because the good ego is self nurturing. It will take care of your own needs, prioritize yourself while still taking care of other people. Like, we can be there for other people, be supportive, but that does not mean we have to enable, we do not have to people please, and we can just be there for somebody by being there for him, like emotionally, and just talking to him, like, and just kind of chilling. It really is all about chilling. That is why the name of this channel is Spirit Chill, because we chillin'. That is the answer to all life. It's just when you understand that balance is the key to everything, you can really get out of these different toxic states because if it a lot of the times we get stuck in this situation that we build for ourselves because we want to be there for our friends and be supportive, and really it's just us trying to fill this gap within ourselves. And I know I'm triggering you again, aren't I? I'm sorry, but we really are. We're trying to fulfill this little gap, this little hole in our life because we're not taking care of our own ego. We're not taking care of the things that are good for us, and that and such is really going to be counterproductive because you're going to eventually, probably eventually, hopefully eventually, maybe not probably, hopefully, but you're going to snap. And you're going to reach a breaking point. You're going to realize how much time you've wasted doing all of these things for your toxic shadow ego self and toxic ego. Like, 'cause again, there's good ego, there's bad ego. Like, if you do all of these things, you're gonna reach a point and you're gonna realize how much time you've wasted, and then you're just gonna get even more frustrated with yourself and other people, and that will just make you relapse and collapse and just go right back into a repetitive cycle. And that's what we're trying to avoid by talking about this stuff, okay? So, really, it's about having balance. And I know maybe that doesn't answer your questions that you may have. Drink your water today. But it's really about being the wise executor. Knowing these toxic traits, knowing these negative traits will allow you to kind of see things that were under the rug or see things from a different light. You're gonna see it in a third view, a third perspective, and that's when you see things in a third perspective. That's usually the most eye-opening experience that you can ever go through. So it's like it's very different from being that person and then seeing somebody else be that person and how miserable they are, because it's like when you're watching things on TV. Oh man, I don't think we learn that much from TV, but you'd be surprised. But it's like when you see things on TV and you're like, oh wow, whew, I feel like I've been through that before. I'm gonna go and approach that differently next time. Like, it's very similar to that. So the wise executor has a very, very unique and healthy balance to this. They identify these traits, they see them in other people, and they don't touch it. They don't touch it. They separate themselves. They go over here and they do their own thing, and they recognize that is something to stay away from, because being there and trying to enable that type of situation is just not going to benefit them, and it's going to be counterproductive. It's going to waste a lot of time, and yeah. So just know that you have your own set of morals, own set of moral values, and that you deserve those moral values, and that you don't have to be a certain specific type of person to fit into society. That is like the wisest executor detail I can tell you. Like, it's really about being wise and learning to separate yourself from situations, people, place, and things that do not serve your greater purpose, do not serve you, and are really draining from you. Anything that feels like it's draining and not fulfilling, or filling up a cup, not maybe not fulfilling, but maybe not filling up your cup, like, you got to separate yourself, because we can try to love these people so freaking much, but they are not going to change. We cannot love them into change. I know. That one's a strong one. Or it's a weak one, I don't know. Depends on who you are. But, like, really, you cannot love somebody to change them. You cannot love them enough and ever expect them to change. And if you're expecting somebody to change, you really got to do some self-evaluation. Why are there things that you want them to change about themselves? And if they did those nasty, awful things, like maybe lying, cheating, whatever it is, the a little bit more amplified forms of egotistical narcissism, like, what really drew you to them, and what makes you so attached to them that you want to stay so much anyway? So, really analyze that sort of state of mind, and realize that you are not here to, like, problem solve for other people. Like, you're here to problem solve for yourself, but you're not here for other people. Maybe you have some things, maybe, like, family and stuff. Maybe you have kids and stuff. Like, obviously we can't abandon our family. We have to learn how to be there for them, but that does not mean that you have to enable or people please, or really you know let somebody in your family drain you. Like, we don't, just because they're blood doesn't mean that you have to put them in a higher standing than, or higher status than yourself. Okay. um we're trying to get rid of all of these. These are all toxic traits within the universe that we have been taught from generation after generation. We are breaking curses here, okay? I don't care how many times you heard that. We are breaking generational curses, and that's where it starts. It starts with you. So, I'm so happy that you watched this video. I'm so happy that you're trying to take positive steps forward into recognizing these ego states and their toxic form of enabling. Because, like, once you really understand that about yourself, you do some self reflection, you're going to be like, oh, wow, I was doing a lot of those things. I didn't even see it. A lot of the times we don't even see it. And it's not going to make you a bad person because you didn't see it. You just were not aware of it. You didn't understand the traits, you didn't understand the characteristics, and you didn't understand that, because you saw other people doing it. You saw your mom doing it, you saw your dad doing it, you saw other people doing it, and then you realize that, that is I guess that's how love works. But it's not. It really isn't. We can be there and love people and not be a part of the toxic cycle, okay? You can love somebody, but you don't have to be around them. I know that one's a really tough one, it really is, but you can love somebody away from them. And really, a big learning lesson too is usually when you separate yourself from that person, they're gonna have like an ego death, ego flash. Maybe not all the time. Maybe they'll realize that they are the problem, or maybe they will realize some of their toxic characteristics and start to change. But that's when you don't come back, okay? Because coming back will really kind of like usually, and I'm not always like saying that we shouldn't forgive people, but there's a really big toxic state of mind when you're going back to somebody because they've changed or said that they've changed and done a few things to kind of heal and grow. Yeah, that's really great. Be really happy for him, but you don't get sucked back into the cycle because sometimes it can be, temporary. So just recognize that too and learn to avoid, or not even just necessarily avoid, but really it's really about being wise about everything and identifying it and learning that you don't have to be a part of that system in order to like be loved or love somebody. You don't got to be a part of the toxic cycle, okay? So I hope that really answers at least a lot of questions. I have a few other videos about ego too. I feel like I've learned a lot over the years though, so this is probably the best form of advice I can give you. I'm pretty sure I had a video about spiritual ego like not that long ago. I would definitely watch that if you want a little bit more idea of like fulfilling your shadow self like in a positive, healthy way, because there's this side of society that believes that your shadow is like your demon side, your demonic, evil personality, and it really isn't. There's things that we have, like it's okay to have a sip of wine. It's okay to just kind of do something that's exhilarating and fun, and do something that's a little unorthodox, like putting an omelet on your fried rice. It's okay. Like a lot of people in Japan do it, so it's cool. And it might be weird to some people, but it's okay because if it's normal for other people, then there's probably some good things about it. Maybe there's taxidermy. This is another one, taxidermy. Like, oh my God, they're putting these animal bones and we're making art or some weird freaky lamp. And you know, to each their own. There's this beauty of death, and I'm not glorifying it or whatever, but like there's this beauty of life and death. We have both, and it brings us gratitude, and it brings us this really like unique idea of life and why it's important to be alive. And so, really understanding that and understanding the core values of other individuals don't necessarily mean that that's like the core foundation of life. Like, really understanding that is going to allow yourself much more freedom, much more soul fulfillment, and allow you to experience much more happiness because you're not going to feel like you have to be a certain type of way in order to be a certain type of person in order to be loved. Like it really is all going to go back to love, even if we're not really given a shit about wanting to be loved. Like really it's about being accepted in society, whether we're rebellious, egotistical, self-centered, or we just want to be that cute little goth girl like walking down the mall. Like there's these things that we have to accept about ourselves that makes us unique and individual, and it's going to be our personality. Like I dress up all cute like this because I want to and because it makes me feel good and I know I look cute doing it. And that is the spiritual ego that you want because it's good. It's good to feel okay. It's good to put on makeup. I don't care what boys think. I like makeup because it makes me feel pretty, it makes me feel happy, and I get to put on all these pretty colors and glitters on my face. I love glitters. Some dudes just probably aren't ever gonna understand that girls just love glitter. Okay? So it's to each their own. So okay, breaking this down, I'm gonna end the video here because I've been rambling for the last few minutes of this, and I don't want to keep on going. So I hope you guys enjoyed today's topic. I hope it gives you a little bit more idea of like ego and toxic ego versus good ego. I'm going to talk more about the positive sides of ego in my next video, just so we can kind of continue on and make it like this a two-parter video. So I hope you guys enjoyed, and you have a blessed day. And yeah, feed, fulfill, feed, fulfill and feed your ego. There we go. I got that. It was in there somewhere. Okay, bye.